All right, it's another Jeff Dubay show. It's a Monday. The Minnesota Twins have been spring training now for, pitchers and catchers have been there for a week. I believe full squad just reported over the weekend. And it gives me the opportunity to check in with an old friend of mine, Lavelle Neal III, who is covering the Twins for the Star Tribune down in Fort Myers. What's going on, Lavelle?
Not much, Jeff. Just kind of getting moving forward here as we get ready to play some games.
Yeah. So let's just. I know the beginning of spring training is always, a little dull. I mean, when I was always down there, it was the beginning of spring training. Before games had started. As a matter of fact, I got to play left field in the first the day they did their first inter squad scrimmage. I was in. I got to play left field, and my center fielder was Jarvis Brown. Remember Jarvis? Or was that before your time?
Jarvis Brown.
Yeah,
that's was faster.
It's going way back. And there was a ball hit into the gap that I actually had to chase down. Of course, it was a little closer to me than it was to him, but nonetheless.
I think it had to be a little bit closer.
I was in left field when David West hit Mike Pagliarulo. It was in '92. This is a long time ago. But I was in left field when David West hit Pagliarulo in the left helmet flap, in the left ear flap. It was not a good moment. It was not a good.
I just saw Pagliarulo's down here. I just saw him a couple of days ago.
He's a fantastic guy. Do you know him very well?
Yeah. Oh, he's great. Yeah, I usually see him every year in spring training down here, so it's a good time.
I mean, he couldn't have fit into that clubhouse any better. Back in the early '90s when he came in, and did the platoon with Leas for third base on the World Series champion '91 squad. I mean, he couldn't have fit in any better in that clubhouse. He was a perfect Minnesota Twin. But anyway, let's talk the modern version of the Minnesota Twins. Actually, we can even throw it back a little bit and talk about the modern version of the Twins because Torrey Hunter kind of fits both molds. This is a move that's intrigued me from the time they made it. I've heard a lot of people whining and bitching about it, and I don't understand why. There's no salary cap in baseball. People should not be concerned about if they see their team overspend or if they're concerned about where the money's going. This is a guy who can still swing the bat. I still think he can play a decent right field, but he definitely can produce offensively. But most importantly, you get one chance to do it right with young guys. And when you're talking about guys like Buxton and Sano, I mean, you're talking about cornerstones of your franchise for your future, your franchise. And to me, Torrey Hunter was brought here to show Byron Buxton how it's supposed to be done more than anything else. I mean, that to me, that's a big deal. And Buxton is a guy who plays a little recklessly, and he's a guy. And there's not. I mean, we like guys running into walls. We like guys, going all out to make catches. But there also comes a point where you got to get a guy who plays 150 games a year in the clubhouse next to him to tell him, hey, here's what you do to play 150 games a year.
Torrey was one of those guys who sacrificed his body too to try to make plays. So I'm sure Torrey admires that style of play, but maybe you can figure out a way to help Buxton, avoid the type of plays that can get him on the disabled list for a long time. So we'll see. It was weird because when they signed Torrey, I was like, is this for nostalgia? Are they really trying to win, or what the role is? And would Torrey just be a glorified coach? And that still remains to be seen. But I tell you, it's been interesting to watch the dynamic he brings to a clubhouse because there's laughter, there's joking around, there's yelling, and he's got Buxton and Aaron Hicks down in the corner of the clubhouse with him. He's talking to Hicks a lot. He's trying to figure out a way to light Buxton's fire, get him to be aggressive, stop worrying about things he can't control, and just start smoking the baseball like he did for a while in the minors. And I think he's been a positive influence on Buxton. I mean, on Hicks, because Hicks has opened up. He's shown more personality this spring, and he's actually kind of cool to be around. So just from a whole mental standpoint, I think Torrey can help immensely. And I think Eddie Guardado being here as a coach paired with Torrey, I think that helps Torrey out a lot because now he's got a partner in crime.
Yep.
Eddie can get on the tight pitchers, and Eddie and Torrey can get on each other in front of everybody and show the type of relationships that can occur when you're trying to foster a kind of a family atmosphere, but a serious winning atmosphere when it's time to play big games. So I think it can help the Twins. I just hope Torrey, continues to age gracefully so he can have some decent numbers up there. Because sometimes, you can talk all you want and try to be a mentor all you want, but sometimes you get tuned out when you're only hitting 220.
Well, when I was, I can go way back to the 80s and 90s, and the way I think a clubhouse should be, the way it should sound, the kind of things that should go on in there. But I mean, those are guys like Herbeck and Puckett and Harper and Newman. I mean, guys who made a clubhouse lively, who made a clubhouse fun. But in the last couple of years, when I've been in the Target Center, in the Target Field clubhouse, I've been taken aback by how quiet it is and just how there's nothing going on there. And when they bring in Hunter and they bring in Guardado together, I thought that's perfect. I mean, there you finally have the life of the clubhouse kind of guys getting back in there. Do you agree that clubhouse has been way too quiet for too long?
Yeah, it got dead. We were spoiled in the 2000s because Torrey and Eddie, LaTroy Hawkins, Corey Kosky, Bill Mikiewicz, they all came up relatively together, and they're used to getting on each other's asses coming up through the minors, and that continued in the majors. And over the last few years, the two of them made so many roster moves, brought in so many new players, made a couple of trades, some free agent signings, bringing guys from other organizations that don't know the other guys in the clubhouse. And you combine that with this doggone iPhone, iPad generation we're in. Dudes have their heads in their phones and in their tablets, in the clubhouse before games. No one's talking to each other. No one's looking to play pranks. No one's looking to throw shit at the other people. And it's gotten to be dull.
Yeah. And I mean, you need some life. You need some life in that room. You need some chatter in that room. And it's going to be a fairly young group. It's a fairly young group again, and I'm not saying that Sano and Buxton are gonna come out of spring training on the roster. I don't know if they are or not, and have to lead this group. But how does it look right now? I mean, Sano, they say, is healthy. The elbow looks good. It sounds like he's absolutely punishing the ball, in BP. That he's just absolutely hammering it. Maybe a little concerned at 262 that he's a little big for a corner infield spot. But what do you think of the young guys right now and the chances of guys like Sano and Buxton making the team, and when we could see them for the first time?
It's totally unrealistic to expect these guys to make the team out of spring training. I get this question every day at Twitter, and it's starting to tick me off. And I've had to start a few days off, but before we get started today, I just want to say that Buxton and Sano do not have a chance of making the team out of spring training, just to get that out there so we can move on with the rest of the day. But, when you watch Sano take bat in practice like he did today, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, Jeff. He hit two balls that landed on the walkway in left center, bounced up and smacked up against the scoreboard. And just totally long, majestic drive that just showed off his power. And it's ridiculous. But these guys basically had lost years last season. They didn't play a lot in Double-A, and they probably have to start in Double-A, maybe Triple-A, but they may get some minor league games under their belt. Now, I can see them being called up during the season. I definitely can see that. But I don't see them starting the season with the team. So all you people out there who keep whining about service time miss, calm down. It's about being ready. So just wait your time, and I would guarantee you these guys will be up before the year's over.
I talk about the starting rotation here because you're coming in. You don't see many teams that have had the recent struggles that the Twins have had. Finishing at the bottom of the division year after year, looking at 90 losses year after year, and they come into spring training with 4 of the spots in the rotation nailed down. That's a pretty unique situation.
It is, man. And, Phil Hughes had a great year. Kyle Gibson, he showed some encouraging signs at 13 and 12. Irvin Santana now, who can throw 200 innings, who has some experience in the American League, which I like that move. And Ricky Nolasco, who was horrible last year, and you hope that they can reach out and connect with him again and turn things around. So now you have a nice little competition for the 5th spot between Mike Pelfrey, Tommy Malone, Alex Meyer, Tim Stopper, and May. I can't think of May's first name right now. Trevor May. And the losers go to the minors, or the losers go to the bullpen. And I think it's a great situation the Twins have created here.
Well, it's good to have competition. I mean, I love to have competition for spots. I don't like people being handed anything.
I do. I like it too, man. And I'm fascinated to see how this is going to play out, because I was talking with someone, and they're like, "Well, it's got to be Tommy Malone. I mean, he's making $3 million this year. There's no way they'll pay that guy that type of salary and not be in rotation." And then you talk to another person who's like, Alex Myers, 25 years old, is confident in being the majors. He needs to step up and take this job. And then someone else says, Mike Pelfrey is stolen money from the Twins for the last few years. It was time for him to earn his keep here, and so that he could be a happy start. And Trevor May got some experience last year. I can't find him. So why can't he get the guy in the rotation? So you talk to different people, you get different reactions, which means it's going to be kind of fun watching these guys fight for jobs.
The end of the rotation, I think that it's been kind of a bad luck thing for Terry Ryan, and not to write him a pass, but I think people have been a little critical when it's not fair, because the decisions he's made have been sound, and things keep happening that after the fact that are beyond a guy's control. I mean, I think we all saw in Pelfrey's first year here. His first year here, around like July, maybe it was July or August, it was around the middle of the season, a little past the midway point. He started to show some form. I mean, he was popping it 94, 95, 96 with some movement, and he started to look like the kind of guy that you think he'd be the year after the Tommy John surgery. So, I mean, it made sense to me. I saw enough of it that year that I thought, okay, you want to re-up this guy. You want to have him around for another year because it's always that next year that Tommy John guys come around. So I thought that was a move that made perfect sense. You go and you get Nolasco because you want innings. You need an innings guy. Your bullpen's been worn out. So you go and you get a guy who's been an absolute horse, and you talk about innings. At the press conference, so you talk about innings, and you get all this pressure on him. All of a sudden, for the first time in this guy's career, he gets a little tear in the elbow, and he's afraid to tell anybody because he's got all this pressure for innings on him. And, I mean, the signing of Nolasco was a good signing and done for the right reasons. Bringing back Pelfrey, I think, was the right move and done for the right reasons. I think it's easy to go after the fact and say, hey, these things didn't work out. What the hell is Terry Ryan doing? But at the time, I think they're both perfectly justifiable decisions.
Oh, man, so easy to second guess. All right, that's the classic second guess situation there. They tried to win out and got innings. Nolasco was rated as the third best starting pitcher on the market that offseason. They brought him in.
Yes.
So, and see, this is what happens, though. I'm not going to name the name of the person who preceded Terry Ryan, but some of the decisions made before Ryan came back have set this franchise back multiple seasons, and they're still paying the price. And Terry, I think, has done a solid job of making trades for Alex Meyer and Trevor May, getting some decent draft picks and turning them into quality prospects. The farm system is as deep as it's ever been, and this is my 18th year covering this team. This may be the best the farm system has looked in my time there. And this stuff takes time. You cannot just snap your fingers or wiggle your nose and expect things to get better automatically. And, people think the Twins are cheap. And I think this has been a product of bad decision. Because if they had not traded J.J. Hardy away, they would have kept him and locked him up and paid him money. If Delman Young had played the way they thought he was going to play when they traded Matt Garza, he would have been worth $10 million a year, but that ended up being a bust. So they've been a victim of bad baseball decisions, more so than lack of spending. And now they've tried to throw some money at the start rotation. They get that fixed, and some of it may be sunken costs, and some of it may not yield the return that they sought, but it's led to other things. And I think they're going to get through this period here and get a couple pitchers like Meyer and May up to the majors. Cole Stewart not far away, and we haven't mentioned Jose Barrios, who looks like he's just one of those cold-blooded gangsters who's just going to laugh at you if you pull a gun on him. And who's got all kinds of skills in the world. These guys are going to come up and hopefully form a nucleus of rotation for years to come, and everybody's going to be looking back at this period as a key period in Twins history for the way Terry has rebuilt things.
Well, so what do you think it's going to look like when it gets to where they want it? I mean, obviously the four guys you just mentioned are all cornerstone guys that all have major leagues written all over. Stewart, Barrios, May, Meyer. So is Gibson. That would. Again, I'm looking a couple years down the road, but that's five guys. I still think Phil Hughes is going to be part of your future. It gets a little crowded. As a matter of fact, we could even bring it in more to how it applies to today, because you've got one spot and you got guys like May and Meyer who could make the team, but these guys are both starters. And I don't like dicking around with a starter. If a guy's a starter, I like leaving him there. I don't like bringing him up and putting him in the bullpen. And I don't know what their willingness is to do that kind of thing with these guys. You just don't have a lot of spots.
I get along with Keith Law, ESPN very well, but I totally disagree with his take on Jose Barrios. He thinks Barrios doesn't have the pitches or the size to be able to start and shouldn't be in the bullpen. I was like, come on, man. There's been small pitchers who have fared well. Greg Maddux is built like a librarian. Pedro Martinez is a slight guy who's going to live in daylights out of the ball. Yeah. And they've had long careers. So, you know what? And you brought up a good point. Here's what you need. And we're kind of looking at the glass full view of this. You hope that Nolasco and Irvin Santana pitch well. Because then in a year or two, when you have Meyer, May, Barrios, Cole Stewart, and Hughes threatening to be your five, then you can spin Nolasco and Santana off into other pieces you may need and move forward that way. You can never have enough pitching, and they can become valuable commodities down the road. But they had to get some arms in here, because how long were we going to have to sit here and look at at the PJ Walters or the Cole DeVries,
Yep.
or that left-hander, that terrible left-hander from the White Sox they got in the Francisco Liriano trade. I can't remember his name right now. They gave so many nondescript pitchers a chance to start, and they just showed they were all a bunch of number 5 stars at best.
Yeah.
And it was time to move on, man. And
You're not talking about that guy who was tossing at 80 miles an hour. That lefty was just up there junk balling it. He had a couple of good starts, and then just I can't think of his name either. But is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, and then he claimed he had a family, a death in the family that was affecting him, and he was trying to use excuses. I can't remember his name. Was Pedro Hernandez? That was his name. Yep. Pedro Hernandez.
Yep. So with Daniel Santana, what are they going to do with Danny Santana? Is he? I mean, he's the shortstop of the future, isn't he? I mean, you can't mess around with him too much with center field, can you?
It's funny. Danny Santana's name came up today, and Mahler cracked a joke about. He cracked a joke about a Robin Yount comparison to Santana because Yount won MVP awards as a center fielder and as a shortstop.
Yep.
And so he was kind of hyping Danny when he said it in a funny way. But I think he's going to be the shortstop. They got enough bodies to put in center field and get by out there. You got to give Santana a chance to hold down that shortstop position and see if he can be consistent, with his throws, his decision making, and his fielding, man. And because at that position, to have that type of athleticism, that type of offensive potential, I mean, guys are calling him a young Jose Reyes. And he does have the wheels, and it looks like he has the ability to hit. And then be a guy who could maybe get 10 to 15 triples a year, maybe hit 10 to 12 home runs, and be a threat on the base path. So, yeah, you try him out at shortstop. You hope he sticks to the shortstop. And it was just because of an emergency that they need him in the center last year. You hope that's over. And part of that, it's going to be, Aaron Hicks, if Hicks can hold down center. But even if Hicks doesn't get the job, I'd rather ride out with Jordan Schaefer in center just to make sure Santana tries to solidify himself as a shortstop.
I've kept you here longer than I said I would. I apologize, Wobble. But one last thing in closing. What do you think we finally do get out of Mauer this year? Because when they announced he was going to move to first, I thought this was going to be fantastic because, I mean, people don't understand the physical demand of playing catcher and just how everything in your body aches, your hands, everything, and how hard it is to hit and become productive or stay productive at the plate when you're taking the physical beating of playing catcher. And at first base, I figured, boy, he's going to be healthy, he's going to feel great. He might even add a few pounds, add a little muscle, start driving the ball, start making more of an effort to pull the ball and drive the ball. I mean, I thought, boy, people are going to see what kind of an offensive force Joe Mauer can be without the burden of having to get behind the plate and get beat up. And we hadn't seen it. We just haven't seen it yet. Is it going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen the way I and many others have foreseen it? Because I do believe that this guy, without the burden of the physical burdens of the tools of ignorance, you get him over there first, stay healthy, and right. Maybe add some weight, that he could really, he could put up MVP type numbers still.
Right now, I'm bullying on Mauer right now, only because he finally had an offseason. He wasn't recovering from an ailment, wasn't recovering from a concussion, or wasn't trying to recover from some other physical issue. He was able to train and condition the entire offseason. His body feels right. His left knee's not bothering him. His right hip's not bothering him. His back is fine. He feels as good as he's had in years. And you may want to argue that Mauer's a greyhound, and once one little thing goes wrong, it spins him out of control. All right. But right now he feels good. And his bat, he said the other day, his bat feels quicker. And that's a good thing. If Mauer can get back to, stroking the ball like he did a few years ago, a lot of people will forget what has happened in recent years. And, Tom Bernanski's now working with him now because Mauer was so beat up and had so many nagging issues the last couple of years. He wasn't really using his legs when he swung the bat much. And so now they're trying to get him to reintroduce his top half to his bottom half, get his legs involved so he can drive the ball more, and start hitting some of those doubles and those gappers like he did so often, when he was going good, man. So let's just sit back and watch this. It's hard. We know how hard it is to dominate throughout an entire career. And yes, there's people like Miguel Cabrera who hit no matter how they feel. They may have sports hernia issues and can still rake. Not everybody's like that.
No.
And Mauer's had a couple of years here where he hasn't been himself. Right now he feels physically fine, and let's see how this turns out.
Hey, Wobble, you're my hero. Thanks for stepping in.
Hey, anytime, man. My pleasure. Good talking to you.
Enjoy Fort Myers. When you get up here, we got to get together. We got to get together, hang, go out, and have a bite to eat or something, all right?
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Thanks, Wobble.
All right, man.
See you, buddy. That's Lavelli Neal from the Star Tribune. He's in Fort Myers covering the Minnesota Twins. Little baseball talk to start the show off. Now, I know hockey is really taking center stage right now here in the state of hockey, as it should. The Minnesota Wild continue to be en fuego. They had, the last Wednesday we talked a little bit about it on Wild Wednesday. They had the tough loss at home against Edmonton. I wasn't going to freak out about it because they played well. They dominated the last 40 minutes of that game. They did a lot of things right. They did everything right except for, bury a couple of chances. So I wasn't going to overreact or panic on that. And then sure enough, they go on the road and they play 2 great games. They beat Nashville on the road. Then they take care of business at Denver against the Colorado Avalanche, and they always seem to take care of business. Take care of business against the Avalanche as I belch. It's like belch into the microphone. But the
cough button over
there.
But
today the trade deadline rolls up, and they make a couple of deals. They get Stewart, they get Leopold. Stewart from Buffalo, Leopold from Columbus. They get some depth on the blue line. They get a power forward that's going to maybe score some goals for him. We'll talk more about it. We got to take a quick break and get back, and we got a lot of hockey to talk about, even though it's not a Wild Wednesday on the Jeff Dubay Show.
What are you drinking tonight, Jason?
The Minnesota Pubcast with Jason and Molly.
I'm drinking a Lickbridge Hop Dish.
It's Pub Talk from a Minnesotan perspective.
I'm always really proud of where I'm from. I'm super proud of Minnesota, and I think Minneapolis is awesome. I think St. Paul is awesome. I think they're a really awesome cultural epicenter.
With great local guests.
So the other voice you hear in the room today is Jerry Fagerberg from the City Pages. Talk about the official Minnesota Tall Boy, which your piece is on the cover of the City Pages today.
It is on the cover, came out today.
Talking movies.
All right, you saw Boyhood. I need to hear what you thought.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Sports.
A guy who was undrafted knew what was coming.
And everything else you talk about at the pub.
Let's not pretend like we know what we're talking about.
Well, what do you think I do every show?
The Minnesota Pubcast with Jason McGovern and Molly Burke. Listen at mnpubcast.com or subscribe on iTunes.
We want to just find meaning in life.
I do want to do due diligence to the NCHC Frozen Face-Off, not just because they are a client of ours, but it is a fantastic event. And it is going to be at the Target Center. It's March 20th to 21st. And they've got some fantastic deals right now. Full session ticket packages for all 4 games start as low as $60. And they will have single game tickets going on sale February 23rd. You can call 1-888-9-AXSTIX. AXSTIX. Or go to TargetCenter.com. Go to the Target Center box office. It's going to be a great event. They've also got, this fan fest going on. They're going to have live bands. They're going to shut down part of First Ave there and have bands on the street. We're going to be podcasting live as part of the event. And if you are coming from out of town, which, obviously, the University of Minnesota is no longer in it, so most of the fans who come here are going to be traveling, whether it's from Grand Forks, St. Cloud, Duluth, Miami, of Ohio, Denver University, whatever, you're going to want a hotel room. And obviously, there's a wealth of hotel rooms in downtown Minneapolis. As great as a venue as the X was for these events, downtown Minneapolis has got so much more going on, so many more hotel rooms. And if you go to my Twitter account or my Facebook account, you will find a post or a tweet that shows the NCHC Frozen Face-Off coming March 20th, 21st, and where you can go to book discounted hotel rooms, because the NCHC got together with the Chamber of Commerce and the hotels and put together some packages where folks can get a break on hotel rooms. Just tell them you're coming for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. But you'll see the link on my Twitter account and my Facebook account. Just click on it, and they'll lead you right to discounted hotels, which should be a fantastic, fantastic event.
Had a chance to watch some NCHC hockey this past weekend. As a matter of fact, Friday night on CBS Sports Network, it was North Dakota and St. Cloud State. Hoping to give impart a little good luck to our friend Bob Motzko, who was on the show Wednesday, but it was not to be. North Dakota looked awfully good. Sweep over the weekend for UND. As a matter of fact, I believe the nicknameless group has now clinched at least a share, if not an outright title, in the NCHC. Number 1 team in the country, and a team that is going to be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Expect to see them at the Target Center on the 20th and 21st of March, playing for that NCHC title in college hockey's. Absolutely, college hockey's best conference. Also hoping that Bob Motzko's crew can recover from that tough weekend and get there themselves. I think it's a good chance you're going to see the UMD Bulldogs, maybe a little Denver, a little Miami. I mean, there's some good teams battling to get into that Frozen Face-Off. It's the Target Center. It's March 20th and 21st. NCHC, it's going to be fantastic. 888-9-AXS-TIX for tickets. 888-9-AXS-TIX. TargetCenter.com works. Target Center box office works. So check out those avenues to get yourself in. Packages for the full session. All sessions start as low as $60. They're also doing single games right now. So it's a good time to get down to the Target Center and check out the tickets and the ticket situation for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. As a matter of fact, this Wednesday, we'll be live at Bennett's for a Wild Wednesday. Bennett's on West 7th. Fantastic place. Had just a fantastic meal there last week. Looking forward to getting back there already this week. And I believe this week's guest will be Dave Hextall, the head coach of the North. I keep wanting to call him the Fighting Sioux. I can't break out of the habit.
What are you calling them? The no nicknames?
Well, they don't have a nickname. So, I mean,
the North Dakota hockey team? Is that what you're supposed to call them?
Well, I mean, if I wanted to be a smartass, I would call them the Fighting Who, because a lot of people do that.
I like that.
But I'd try not to be a smartass, especially since I've upset Coach Hextall in the past with some things not so kind about the UND program. But in all honesty, I mean, I've got nothing but respect for a program that is that good and that dominant, has done the things that they've done.
Is he coming on begrudgingly,
Like,
or
he and I? There was a time. There was a game at Mariucci where R.J. Anderson was cheap shotted by Darcy Zajac after the buzzer, after the game had ended. I mean, he's cross-checked into the boards by Darcy Zajac, and it was a horrible cheap shot. It was. I mean, sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. I called Darcy a couple of names on the air that upset Coach Hextall a little bit, and he didn't come on with PA and I for a year or so after that. But we since have buried the hatchet on that.
Well, you were on air, so you couldn't have called him anything too bad. What did you say?
I called him a thug and a punk.
Okay.
Were the two words I used.
And I guess as a coach, I understand why you can't be okay with your kids being called that. But
I mean, in my defense, R.J. Anderson was the horn had gone, the game had ended, and the guy came up from behind and cross-checked him. So Darcy Zajac cross-checked him head first into the board. I mean, it was a horrible cheap shot.
Jesus.
And then it was the defense to it was that R.J. Anderson had done something earlier in the game that had warranted some retaliation, which I'm not going to deny. I mean, I don't recall, but it certainly is possible. I mean, the Gophers don't skate around with halos over their heads. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's never a completely innocent party in these things. But my point was, if he had done something and you got an issue with it, there's nothing wrong with being able to face a guy. I mean, if you're looking at the guy's last name and that's how you chose to take your revenge, but if you're looking at his last name, obviously you're standing behind him. It's just a way of putting it. That's just not the way to do it. I mean, if you want a piece of somebody for doing something, then, don't be afraid to face them like a man rather than cross-check somebody from behind into the boards, which is what happened in this case. And then I got into the name calling, and Coach Hextall took some except. But this is water under the bridge. This is years and years and years ago. He and I have since buried the hatchet.
What do you?
I look forward to talking to him. I mean, it's in all honesty, I love college hockey. I love the whole college hockey world, vibe, atmosphere, and all those involved with it. And I was extremely excited to talk to our friend Bob Motzko last week, and I'm looking forward to talking to Coach Hextall this week. I really am. And also, the following week after that, I believe Scott Sandlin from UMD will be joining the program.
Nice. Well, maybe this will be a little segue into Wild, but what do you think of going head-to-head or face-to-face with someone when it's Mikhail Granlund and there's 3 seconds left?
That was pathetic. That was pathetic. What was that? What's that guy's name? What's the thug name?
I know Landeskog was the other one, but I cannot think of.
No, it's number 55. He's number 55. He's number 55. He's got red hair. I can picture him. It's O'Neill. Is it O'Neill?
It's not O'Neill. It's definitely not O'Neill.
55. It was pretty pathetic. But I mean, this is Patrick.
Mikhail Granlund of all people, though. I mean, and then Koivu gets punched. Two of the.
That was Landeskog.
Yes, that was
Landeskog.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is Patrick Waugh. It is fine. Patrick Waugh is a thug. I mean, if a goaltender could be a thug, Patrick Waugh is a thug. So we're going back to the Saturday night Wild Avalanche 3-1 win for the Wild. At the end of the game, in case you didn't see it, it's they're lined up for a face-off at center ice, and the puck is dropped. The draw's being taken by Granlund. There's just a few seconds on the clock, right?
There's 3 seconds.
3 seconds, and Waugh sends a thug out there to play left wing, and when the puck is dropped, he just makes a beeline right for Granlund and cheap shots him. And Coyle is there and he sees it, he takes exception, and they drop the gloves and they go.
Well, and Coyle never even dropped his gloves, if you didn't notice.
Coyle
actually tried to tackle him.
It wasn't vicious, but it was really cheap and really just thug-like, and it was just typical Patrick Waugh. I mean, it's the kind of thing that Waugh does on a.
You think he's told to do that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's totally the coach's decision when a player goes straight at the center as he's taking the draw.
With 3 seconds left, it's a 3-1 game. And now this was a tough one for the Avalanche to swallow, I'm sure, because, well, number one, the Wild have owned these guys. I mean, going back to the playoffs last year, it's really outrageous. I mean, they're either 4-0 or 5-0 against them now this year, and this was the first game in which they had scored a goal against the Wild, and it was a shit goal. I mean, it was a bounce off the boards,
or something, right?
It was a dumping off the boards. Took a funny bounce, came right to the edge of the crease, got stuck in the skates of Dubnyk, and basically as he went down, he dragged it across the goal. It was just an absolute garbage goal. And it's the only goal they've scored against the Wild this year. So I mean, and the Avalanche are a team that is, you know, in a position where the Wild were a couple of weeks ago, where you just like, boy, we got to light a fire and take off, or we're not going to make it. So they go on the road and they beat Dallas the night before in a shootout, big win. They go on the road, get 2 points, then they come home to play the Wild, and the same shit happens to them. They can't score a goal, they get outclassed, they get outplayed, and they lose another game in regulation where they don't get a single point. And I mean, I can see where the frustration comes from, but that's just not how you handle it. You know, send in a thug out there, line them up, you know, for the final 3 seconds. Although I guess you could say, you know, Yo should be smart enough not to have his guys. He shouldn't have a guy like Granlund in that situation. Go put your fourth line out there to take the draw. You know, as a matter of fact, Yo's very criticizable for that. There's no way that they should have been on the ice there with 3 seconds.
But hold on,
No
that was in Colorado, right? So the home team has the last change. So he might not have had a choice, right? I mean,
no, but he can put out anybody he wants.
No, I get that originally, but Yo is thinking it's the end of the game. We've won, game over. We're going home. Not let's get dirty quick before we get out of here.
But the thing is, an NHL coach should be aware of the fact that that's what the other team's
that
doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when it's across.
There's no reason to put anybody unless I'm missing something here. I don't think it was off of an icing because the team was at center ice.
No, that's center ice. Yeah.
So I mean, so it
was McLeod, by the way, was the guy we were trying to figure out.
So you should have been able to put out anybody he wanted to, and I think he's criticizable for it. I mean, the shit didn't hit the fan. It's not like Granlund's not hurt. Nobody's facing suspension.
Coyle took a good shot though.
Yeah,
in that little fight with McLeod.
I mean, he did the right thing, stepped right in. So I mean, it's not like the world's coming to an end off of this, but he got a little lucky. I mean, if McLeod would have come up a little higher, who knows? Maybe Granlund gets a little concussion. Now he's sitting. I mean, things could have happened. I mean, the bottom line is you put guys in a position where they shouldn't have been in, and he should not. There's no way Granlund should have been on the ice for that. No, he should have been on the ice for that at the end of that game. But the Wild, they do have a really nice week. After they have the tough loss to Edmonton, they go on the road. They take care of business at Nashville. I mean, nice win. I mean, we're talking about the team with the best record in the Western Conference, a team playing right now for the President's Trophy, a chance to be the best team and the best record, highest point total in the National Hockey League. Team that's looking at number one seed in the Western Conference playoffs, and a team that you could see very likely, quite possibly, in the first round of the NHL playoffs if you get there. I mean, right now it's kind of matching up that could be, a possible matchup. And what was the little factoid I saw after the game? This was the third or fourth game all year long that Nashville had lost in regulation at home. I mean, it's just
they've lost very few at home.
It's just an outrageous number. I mean, to go in there and to go into that building and not give Nashville any points at all. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to take it into overtime and weasel it out in a shootout, but I mean to go in there and actually beat them, which the Wild did in regulation. That's happened like 3 or 4 times this year. So that's a really impressive number. And I tell you what. Nashville, you talk about get to know them. I mean, Nashville is a team that you just got to. I mean, nobody expected. I don't think anybody expected them to be this dominant team this year going into the season, and it's been on the strength of some really young guys who I've never heard or hadn't heard of before the year. I mean, I know who Philippe Forsberg is now, and I have for a couple months. But this is a team of just, I don't want to say anonymous guys, but unless you really are following the NHL and they're really into like good young talent. You wonder how the hell is Nashville as good as they are, but it's a team that's got a ton of offensive talent. Just young guys. They look like they could be good for a really long time if they can keep that bit together. In a city like Nashville, that isn't necessarily a destination for NHL stars. In other words, they might have some trouble keeping guys from Bolton via free agency at some point. But I digress here.
Winning cures that a little bit, though, doesn't it?
I mean, Suter couldn't wait to get out. I mean, I shouldn't say that. He wasn't dying to get out, but he had the opportunity to do something special and come. I don't say come home. I mean, he's a Wisconsin guy, but this is as close to home as he's going to get.
What do you think of the crowd booing him still? Does that do anything for you? Does it bother you? Does it matter to you?
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's when a guy leaves. when a guy leaves via free agency, I don't blame a crowd or a fan base for feeling a little rejected. I mean, when a guy gets traded, that's one thing. Unless he's demanding a trade, I give a guy a break, when he's traded, because it's it's typically behind your control. Unless again you're the guy sitting there demanding it because you want to get the hell out of there. But when a guy leaves via free agency, you don't have to hate him. You're not required to hate him. But if you want to have a little bitterness about being left behind or having somebody choose to play somewhere other than your team, I mean, you've got the right to be. You've got the right to be upset about it. You've got the right to boo about it. And I think it's going to, just like with everybody, it decreases. Every time he goes back, it's going to be a little less and a little less. But
do you think that Suter, you would think he would take that as a compliment, right? I mean, because you only do that if it's a player that you care about. So you wouldn't do that if it was a player that you've said, oh, good riddance. Yeah. So obviously, it's a compliment. I figure it's been how many years now? Like, let's get over it. Jesus.
And then he's got the misfortune of them being in the Western Conference, so he's going to see them more often. Like, Precy, what have they've been to New Jersey once, I think?
Twice, I think.
Yeah. And one of the times I think he was out with an injury.
Yep.
So I mean, they don't really care. I mean, they're not. I mean, they don't go in the locker room and cry during the intermission. It's like, they're being so mean to me. I mean, they don't give a shit. If anything, some of them get a charge out of it. Maybe get a little enthusiasm out of it, a little motivation.
No, I would only think you would get positive out of it. Yeah, no negative.
Yeah. So I mean, and some most just brush it off as if it's a complete non-factor, or maybe just chuckle about it. But again, the Wild, they are in the final wild card spot. And as of, I didn't look at the standings today, but as of 2 days ago, they had a 3-point lead over the next team, over Calgary, which would be the next closest competitor. So I mean, they actually have gotten to the point where there's a little bit of a cushion. They had pulled within one of Winnipeg. Then Winnipeg won last night. Winnipeg won. I forget who they beat, but Winnipeg won a home game that put them back to 3 points above the Wild. But the Wild had a nice little 3-point lead over Calgary. And that Calgary's not even the team anymore. Now LA is the team, but it is still a 3-point lead. So that's pretty nice. I mean, LA is at 70, the Wild at 73. So, I mean, a little bit of breathing room. I mean, it was, last week when they initially got back into that top 8, they'd done it by leapfrogging somebody and had like a 1-point lead. So you knew if you had a day off and the team was playing, they could change on a daily basis. I mean, now they're getting to the point where they've got, that 3-point lead, and they play tonight. Do they not? They play at home against Ottawa. Is it tonight or tomorrow? I think
who were we asking?
The Wild.
No, the Wild play tomorrow night.
Oh, tomorrow night against Ottawa?
Yep.
So they played tomorrow night against Ottawa, which gives them a chance to maybe bump this thing up to as much as 5. So you're starting to get to a point where I'm not going to say you're comfortable, but you're not going from 8 to 9 to 9 to back up to 8 on a daily basis with the two teams on the bubble leapfrogging each other.
And the last thing you can do right now as the Wild is get comfortable. I mean, you're still on the bubble. You need to play as if every game's a playoff game here on out.
Well, and that brings us to today with the trade deadline looming. They make a couple of moves. Jordan Leopold, we are all familiar with Jordan Leopold. He's had a career that has just been completely marred by injury. And as a matter of fact, he's only played 25 games this year. So he has not been a very durable, a reliable guy in that regard. But when he plays, he's a smart, heady guy. He's a guy who he gets the puck out of the zone. He's very mobile. He's very quick to the puck. Makes good decisions with the puck. He gets on it and gets it going in the other direction before teams can set up the forecheck. He's a good puck moving defenseman who's going to give you some depth. He's not going to step in and run power play for you, although he can. I mean, he can't play power play, and he might play some power play for you, especially if Spurgeon's out for any extended period of time. But he's not. You're not getting him to be a cornerstone top 2, top 4 guy. But he does have the ability to step in there and be that kind of a guy on a short-term basis, as long as he's healthy. He's a good locker room guy, really good locker room guy, and I think they're going to get a lot out of him. I think they're going to get really good run out of him.
The trades were made they're for depth, right? I mean, this is all about just in case anybody else gets hurt.
The Stewart one is a little intriguing though, because Stewart is a guy who in his first couple of seasons scored 28 goals each, in back-to-back years. I mean, a 28-goal scorer. I mean, this is a guy who, this is a legitimate difference maker. Now, the numbers are not good. He's been playing for Buffalo. People talking about, he's got this attitude. He sometimes he plays when he wants to play. Sometimes he's a defensive liability. But and I'm not trying to excuse lazy play or selfish play. But when you're playing for Buffalo, you might not really give a shit. I mean, they're a terrible team, just having a god awful year, just going nowhere. And I mean, I think it's hard to judge a guy when he's playing in that kind of an atmosphere, in that kind of a situation. I mean, we're talking about a guy who came into the league and had back-to-back 28-goal seasons, and he's not old. I mean, they give him a second-round pick for this guy, a second-round pick for a guy. So, I mean, I would think that this is somebody who they look at as not just being a factor for them this year in the playoffs, but into the future. He's a rugged power forward. He's going to get out front and score a lot of gritty, ugly, greasy goals. He can be a factor on the power play, and I would imagine he's going to get power play time. But the question I have is, at whose expense? The team is really playing well right now. So who sits? I mean, you look at the fourth line, even with the injuries, you've been missing, a handful of guys. You've been missing Matt Cook, you've been missing Zucker, you've been missing the guy. Why can't I think of the fourth line guy from Mankato?
I can picture
Ryan Carter.
There you go.
I mean, you've been missing some guys who are going to be coming back. And then you're really going to have a logjam. I mean, you got to get these guys. I mean, Carter and Zucker are going to go back to the lineup for sure when they come back. I don't know about Matt Cook now, but I mean, Stewart's a guy who and then you get Bergenheim. And by the way, Bergenheim in the 2 games he's played, he's been a beast. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just been punishing people. I mean, he's not a thug. And he's not. I mean, but he is a grinder. I mean, he's a guy who's got some strength and some thickness to him, and he can skate. And he has been just laying bodies out. I mean, he's really been a force. He's really been a factor. I think he broke McKinnon's jaw the other night. As a matter of fact, I do. I mean, he hit him really, really hard along the half wall. And then McKinnon came back with the cage on his.
Wow.
So I think that they were thinking he either dislocated his jaw or broke his jaw, or he wouldn't have been. I mean, you don't typically send a guy out there if he's got a broken jaw, but the fact that they put a cage on him and sent him back out there for the rest of the game. I mean, he did something. I mean, he messed up something. Dislocated the jaw, did something to the jaw. I mean, and it wasn't a high hit. I mean, he hit him like right in the middle of the chest, but just the severity, the jolt of the hit. I mean, Bergenheim has been an absolute beast in the 2 games that we've seen him. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's an embarrassment of riches. Oh, what are you going to do with all this? Oh, you got too much talent. But it is going to be interesting to see who gets displaced because the fourth line has been great. Howell is coming around. Fontaine has been a difference maker.
Fontaine looks great lately.
Yes, I mean, and that whole line together has been a difference maker with Brodziak and Howell. Howell with another goal the other night. So I'm not saying that you can't find room for a guy who's got 25, 30 goal potential as a rugged power forward, which is something you do desperately need. It's definitely need of this team. And he's going to play. I mean, Stewart is going to play. He didn't come here to sit. So it's just going to be interesting to me to see who sits now and how it really goes when guys like Carter and Zucker start coming back because they're going to.
And I know Tony's not here to say it, but with the whole Yo knows best, I'm assuming he thinks that it's going to be the veterans and the kids will go down. I mean, or the kids are going to sit. And that has kind of been Yo's MO.
Yeah.
But here you got a lot of veterans, and what kids do you want to sit? I mean,
I know it. Fontaine's been too good to sit.
It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
Be in trouble. I mean,
Holla might. But he even seems like he's coming around lately, doesn't he?
Has. He absolutely has been better. He scored a couple of goals.
Yeah.
They haven't been pretty goals. They've been kind of, bad angle, just bang them off the back of the goaltender kind of goals. But you know what? When you're slumping and things aren't going your way,
throw the puck at the net.
Yeah, you get a couple of greasies, and all of a sudden you start feeling good about yourself, and things turn around a little bit. So I mean, you gotta really just be excited about how things are going for the Wild right now. They got the 3-point lead over the Kings. The Kings, the closest competitor for that final wild card spot right now. The little 3-point gap between the two. I'm not saying that's a comfortable gap, but it's. I mean, number one, you're in. I mean, you're on the right side of the bubble, which is a great feeling, and you can't lose that in one day when it's a 3-point. I mean, it's not necessarily a day-to-day thing. So you almost have a chance to breathe easy for a minute, especially with a couple of home games coming up, including one against Ottawa, where you got to like your chances to add to that lead. So just a lot of interesting things going on with the Wild. We'll get into it more in depth on Wild Wednesday. Wild Wednesday will be at Bennett's. We'll be at Bennett's Chop and Rail House on West 7th. And I tell you what, I had a great sirloin, fantastic salad, fantastic au gratin potatoes, just an amazing meal. I mean, I wish we were sitting there right now.
That salad, people, is enough.
God,
just the
good.
Dinner salad they serve before your meal is
so
worth
good.
to go there for.
It's fantastic, just fantastic. And we'll be there this Wednesday and enjoying the fine meat.
Both the boys?
Food.
Do we know?
Yes,
or?
yes.
Okay.
I've been in contact with both of them. As a matter of fact, we're gonna set the showtime right now for 5:00. Tony has the entire day off, total free day. So I asked Scott to be there at 5. We're gonna do 5:00. So if you're going to be checking the show out live, you want to come and see it in person, 5 o'clock, Bennett's Wednesday. The guest will be Dave Hackstall on the phone. We'll find a way to make that happen. And then the following week, I believe Scott Sandlin. So I hope Joe Bennett, close circuit to Joe. Sorry, it's not going to be Sandlin this week because Joe's a big Duluth guy. he loves his Bulldogs. He's going to have to wait a week and change to get Sandlin on the show. But
I was just happy you guys got along, being that he is such a Bulldogs guy.
Yeah,
I'm just glad you guys
college hockey
cordial.
fans. You know what? College hockey fans get along. I mean, like when we'd go up to Grand Forks for the PA and Dubay show, and I'd have like appearances at Southgate or Long Haul or any of these watering holes around Grand Forks. I mean, college hockey people are good people. I mean, folks I'd be wearing my Gopher garb, and folks would come up to me in the black and the green and shake hands and slap backs. I mean, once you get in the game, when say you're in the arena, and then maybe people are having a few beers and getting a little lubed up, and you get the heat of the game. Yeah, I've exchanged some unpleasant, just a few swear words from time to time. Maybe a little physicality from time, not a lot, just a little.
A little pushing and shoving.
But I mean, when you're just out hanging out and everything, I mean, college hockey folk get along with college hockey folk pretty well, and we'll see that firsthand when we're at the Target Center and we're at down there at Kieran's and doing the whole Fan Fest thing. Down there.
That North Dakota talk's got you down there.
You know what it is? It's that damn missing tooth. It's still messing with me. I can't.
Gives you an accent?
I can't get used to this damn missing tooth. It really does. It changes everything. But we'll be at Kieran's for the Fan Fest, and this 20th, 21st of March, NCHC Frozen Face-Off. There'll be I got to believe, with North Dakota and Duluth on their way there, hopefully St. Cloud on the way there, there's going to be a good cross-section of different fan bases just down there having a good time and enjoying some fantastic college hockey.
Hi, everybody. This is Alyssa.
And this is Liz.
And we're with the Focus Radio,
where our focus is to bring you resources to grow your business and double your income.
Join us on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time. TheFocusRadio.com.
The Rusty Gatenby Review is the entertaining show about entertainment from movies, music, and more. Award-winning TV guy Rusty Gatenby and his review is the podcast with the biggest cast in entertainment, part of the Alive and Social Network. You can get that Minnesota connection to Hollywood and beyond any time of the day or night simply by clicking on the RustyGatenbyReview.com. That's the RustyGatenbyReview.com, part of the Alive and Social Network.
I do want to do due diligence to the NCHC Frozen Face-Off, not just because they are a client of ours, but it is a fantastic event. And it is going to be at the Target Center. It's March 20th to 21st, and they've got some fantastic deals right now. Full session ticket packages for all 4 games start as low as $60, and they will have single game tickets going on sale February 23rd. You can call 1-888-9-AXSTIX, AXSTIX, or go to TargetCenter.com. Go to the Target Center box office. It's going to be a great event. They've also got this fan fest going on. They're going to have live bands. They're going to shut down part of First Ave there, and have bands on the street. We're going to be podcasting live as part of the event. And if you are coming from out of town, which, obviously, the University of Minnesota is no longer in it, so most of the fans who come here are going to be traveling, whether it's from Grand Forks, St. Cloud, Duluth, Miami, of Ohio, Denver University, whatever, you're going to want a hotel room. And obviously, there's a wealth of hotel rooms in downtown Minneapolis. As great as a venue as the X was for these events, downtown Minneapolis has got so much more going on, so many more hotel rooms. And if you go to my Twitter account or my Facebook account, you will find a post or a tweet that shows the NCHC Frozen Face-Off coming March 20th, 21st, and where you can go to book discounted hotel rooms, because the NCHC got together with the Chamber of Commerce and the hotels and put together some packages where folks can get a break on hotel rooms. Just tell them you're coming for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. But you'll see the link on my Twitter account and my Facebook account. Just click on it, and they'll lead you right to discounted hotels, which should be a fantastic, fantastic event.
Speaking of fantastic events, we're back. Jeff Dubay Show, by the way, which is in and of itself a fantastic event. But the Alive and Social Network is, a lot of bright ideas going on around here. And I'm not one of them. I'm not an idea guy. I sit down and I talk, and other people come up with ideas. But one of those visionaries to my left, Sean Bernard, you always talked about this little love shack of ours here in South Minneapolis, the South Side Studios, being kind of it's kind of like a Live at Daryl's kind of vibe, Live at Daryl's house. For those who don't know, that's Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates has a cable program where
on Palladia,
musicians just come and like jam in his basement with a live crowd, kind of a thing. And you're going to do stuff like that here, and you got it coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah, he turned his house into a studio, and so what's cool about that show? It started out as an internet-based show. It was only internet, and then Palladia saw it and saw how well it was doing on the internet and picked it up for TV, which is funny. Who the hell knows if that'll happen to us? But most of the idea came from the fact that I know a lot of guys in bands that are just struggling, and it's not because they're not great bands. It's because the music industry is totally screwed because guys like me download free music and
what a dick.
I mean, honestly, I'm as guilty as anybody. I do try to, if there's a band that I really like, I try to make sure and buy their CDs because I know from talking to them how much they struggle. And so we wanted to come up with something pretty cool where we're going to actually do a live streaming video showcase of a regional artist. This week it'll be on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. You'll be able to go to you can go to liveinsocial.com or you can go to our Facebook or Twitter account, and you're going to see a feed there from Livestream to actually go on and watch the show live of Farewell Milwaukee. And so they're going to do about a 1-hour show, hoping to beg them to stay on a little bit longer than that. But the idea is to be able to promote their latest album, their other music. They're also going to be out at the Varsity Theater, so we'll have links to be able to go buy tickets for that. It helps support local bands. It's something where we'll eventually have sponsors in it, so we'll be able to make a little money ourselves and not just have major expense tied into it. But I've always liked this idea. I mean, one of the cool ways that bands are making money nowadays is by doing house shows. A lot of them, that's how they make their dough.
What's a house show?
They'll actually people will get 50 of their friends. They'll charge each of their friends $50, and they'll bring in a band.
No overhead. You know, I mean, if you would go to a theater or something, they're going to take a big cut. So that actually sounds pretty good.
That's it. They bring all their friends in. They go get a bunch of food from someplace catered in. Maybe they give everybody a beer glass, and then they have their favorite band come in.
That's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. The challenge sometimes though is that the sound sucks. And, but it is a lot of people are doing this in their backyard and things like that, where it is what it is, and people just absolutely love it. So I thought this is another way for us to be able to promote these bands doing these house shows as well. So I met the guys at Farewell Milwaukee about 6 years ago when they were just starting out. They were playing the VFW in Uptown in the side room, which I didn't even know was open. Heard them playing, got to know Ben Lubeck, the lead guy for that. Met him at the same Caribou that you and I reunited at, like Peaches and Herb.
Sure. And it felt so good.
Yeah, it felt so good. So yeah, we're really, really excited about it. So you're going to be able to live stream that. Eventually we'll be giving away tickets to come to the house and actually see it live.
So we're going to give away the secret location of the Live and Social House.
To a few select people. I really want, I need blood type and some major ID. And if you're friends with Jeff, I got to really do a background check.
Huge background check.
No, I want to say also congratulations on the success of your show. It's been really cool to watch it grow. A lot of haters thought we'd last about 8 episodes this time around, but instead, what are you on, 100 or something?
71.
71. Yeah, we're coming up on the historic number 100. It's just right around the corner. You got anything big planned?
Cool sponsors. Yeah, cool
big parties for that too, yeah.
I want to sell out the sponsorship, so if you're listening and you'd like to advertise, we have a really unique model where we tie in social media as well as ads on the show. Very conversational ads. Jeff and Jason do a great job. Jason's also on the Minnesota Pubcast. So we're always looking for bars and beers and liquors to sponsor these shows. But if you got a local car dealership or you're a financial guy or whatever, feel free to reach out to me, Sean, SEAN, at aliveinsocial.com.
An apartment complex.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, yeah, that'd be phenomenal.
I just thought of that
We would gladly do a
golf
cash trade deal with an apartment complex.
Oh, yeah, golf courses as well. I mean,
I'm actually talking to a couple local golf courses about doing a cash trade deal with us so we can golf for free.
Very cool.
That's all I want. I'll advertise the shit out of my course if I can go for free.
Well, my boy Nick Peters was here last week. Nick Peters works at Deer Run. He's one of the monkey bucks at Deer Run.
And you know Tom at Deer Run.
I know Tom Apps really well. I would love to do a deal with Deer Run. Actually, I'd love...
Well, plus, are we talking about doing a deal with Floyd's? Knock on wood?
We are talking about doing a deal with Floyd's.
Can you imagine that? We could play golf and then go do the show at Floyd's.
Let's try to make that. It just seems like
a
good meant to be.
I mean, that's. I'm not wrong, right? That's right there, right around the corner.
It is right there. It's a half block. It's literally
it's staggering distance.
You have to go by there on your way home.
Yeah, it's perfect.
No, Tom Apps at Deer Run's a great guy. He sends out a weekly email, or maybe it's every couple of weeks, but he's an amazingly interesting guy.
Yeah.
And I want him to do a podcast, a golf podcast, obviously be seasonal, but do 6 months out of the year and do that kind of a show.
Hey, let me get back to what you're doing Wednesday. I got a couple of questions questions about it.
Yeah.
I know it's a live thing, but will people be able to watch it on demand?
They can watch it on demand as well. So that's the idea, is that we're hoping that, X amount of people watch it live, and then everybody else goes back and watches it after the fact. I'm hoping Ben Lubeck will give us a couple of free tickets to give away for the Varsity Theater show, which I can't remember the date on there. I think it's like the 20th. It's right after St. Patrick's Day. I know that much.
And are you going to have a new band every Wednesday, or is it?
Right now, I just don't have it booked out that far. I wanted to get the first one done, learn from it.
Sure.
And I've got the cool thing is, if you guys ever listen to Studio C performances on Cities 97,
I used to stand right there at the window.
I know. I got the sound engineer Brian Thomas to come in here and do sound for us. So that's the cool thing about old pals like that. Got shortchanged from Clear Channel. That are going to come here and help us out. So I think the sound is going to be phenomenal. The video will be fine, and it should be a lot of fun. It should support local music. It will be a fun thing for us to do. And selfishly, even if we never made a nickel out of it, I love the fact that we're going to have bands downstairs
just fun
doing music. And I hope local artists will hear this and see it and know that. The other thing is, we want everybody on the network to tweet out the link to their music and all that stuff to support local bands and help them get to the next level. So that's what it's all about.
Wednesday we're going to be at Bennett's. So we're going to do the show, and I'm going to just inhale a steak and then get back over here.
You get to have a steak every Wednesday now at Bennett's, don't you, bastard?
That's awesome. Well, you should come too. Not this week.
I can't this week, obviously, but I will be down to Bennett's soon, and we'll make that happen.
Awesome.
Thank you guys. Thanks for the plug. I loved my airtime today.
Well, you're more than welcome.
The ego was satisfied.
It is your network. Well, now we know that's not true.
No, it's not.
It gets a long way. But,
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Any closing thoughts, Jason? We talked Wild, we've talked Twins, we've talked live music.
Well, okay, since we were kind of talking the network a little bit, I have to tell people you have to go listen to Suhan and Eddie Gordado and Tori Hunter. But the Eddie Gordado one,
it's awesome, huh?
You're not going to be able to get that first 15, 20 minutes. Holy shit. Oh, my God.
It's hilarious,
the story is so disgusting, but awesome, hilarious. You've got to go check it out.
That's awesome.
What's that?
When does Jim come back?
You could say it's peanut butter, I guess. Hold on, Sean. You get back in here.
The Tori Hunter one, did you hear about the peanut butter deal?
No.
Corey Koski was the biggest practical joker.
Yes. Oh, I've seen some.
I don't want to ruin this podcast. You got to go listen to it.
Right.
But let's just say it involved somebody putting peanut butter in somebody else's underwear.
Oh, God.
And them not knowing about it till a little while later.
Oh,
how the hell would you not know if somebody put peanut butter in your underwear?
Oh, that's nasty.
And the Gordado story is more messed up. So.
How's the cleanup, and how do you explain that to your better half?
Honey,
why is there peanut butter in your ass?
Oh, that's just nasty. That's nasty.
Come here, Fido. Here, boy.
On that note.
Oh,
anything else along the network that we want to plug before we go? Quickly?
Yeah, Suhan Unfiltered. I'd listen to those shows. Yep. We got a new morning show going on called
Rusty?
Yeah, with Rusty Gatenby, Courtney McLean, and Chuck Gollop. That's called
The Hit Show?
Twin Cities Hit Show, which is intentional. It looks like shit show. That's why we did it. To be a little funny. We do have Eat This Twin Cities. We've got so many other shows. We got Brian Turner with Foodie Friday with his daughter Lydia, and so much more.
AliveandSocial.com.
Absolutely. Thanks,
See 'em
guys.
all. Later.